sometimes you gotta color outside the lines.
Wong and Winchester. All new Tuesdays, 9/8 Central on City TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to Her Story, the journey to winning a seat at the table. I'm your host, Mary Jane Murray. And this program is a conversation with inspirational women with amazing stories to share. And stories are a tapestry of lifelong experiences and events. So let's explore the journey. My guest today is May F. And she was born in Hong Kong during the time when it was a British colony. Her background, educational background, is in social work. However, she made a career in music as a singer and songwriter. In 1995, she immigrated with her family to Canada. And through her life's journey, she made her way to Sauble Beach and then on to Owen Sound. She is a community advocator, and May is very engaged in advancing our knowledge in our community and the Chinese culture. And she is the founder of Grey Bruce Chinese Heritage Culture Association, and also the founder of the Grey Bruce International Folk Dancers. And she has received the Cultural Catalyst Award in 2017 for the City of Owen Sound for promoting cultural diversity. So we often see very accomplished women in very interesting roles, but that spark can emerge at any stage and at any age, and this is May's journey. Welcome, May, and thank you for taking the time today, because this is a very busy time in terms of the Chinese Lunar New Year.
Thank you very much, Mary Jane, and I feel honored to be invited to have a conversation with you.
Oh, well, you have an amazing story to share with our viewers, and I am very interested in hearing more information. But let's reflect back to your very early years in Hong Kong when it was still a British colony. And how did that influence you growing up?
So it's kind of funny. So every time people ask me to kind of bring back memories of childhood, the first picture in my mind is my mom dancing with me at home to a Beatles song on the what is it called, of the album player?
Yeah,
the turntable. And I think that's my first memory. And I think because my mom has always been a very caring person, and she when we were growing up, she always told, I only have one brother, an older brother. She always told us that the one thing, the only thing she wants in our lives is for us to be happy. And yet this happiness of ours do not bring anybody misery. So I always remember that. So that is my I guess the foundation of who I am. And then my father, he was very involved in the labor association in Hong Kong, and he was, I say he was because he passed away early this year, but he was very involved, and he was a community leader. He was involved in scouting and all the rest. And I used to be my daddy's girl. I would go everywhere with him, and he was with the regiment. And one time he took me to like the practice room for shooting gun, and I got to hold a shotgun. I was very young. It was very happy. So, but anyways, I think my parents, I didn't realize when I was young, of course, and then when I started to have my own family, I realized how much they have influenced me and shaped who I am today. Yeah.
Well, obviously that's a good thing because we see you as such a very integral part of our community, but also a very caring person in reference to inclusion, diversity, and all the various aspects that you have engaged in over the years to make our community better. But one of the things I'm curious about is how did you go from social work being in your background to singer-songwriter? Like, how did that transition happen?
Okay, so when I was 16, I think like a lot of teenagers at the time, they were searching for your identity, and I realized at the age of 16 that my mission, everybody has mission in life, and mine is to bring happiness to people and harmony to the world. And it sounds very cheesy, but that's what I felt at the time. And I tried to figure out a way that I could do that. So my choice when I was getting close to graduating in high school, my choices were either getting into teachers college or going to university to study social work. And I decided to study social work and become social worker. And when I graduated, I chose to become an outreach social worker. So outreach social worker worked with youth at risk. And by that, I mean kids who play truancy, like who skip school, who have affiliation with triads, and so we wanted to give them an alternative, give them resources so that they can make their life more constructive and to grow in a more successful way. So I chose to become a outreach social worker. And through my work, I think because my upbringing, I was very protected, even though my father came from a not really blue collar, but we are like a middle class. We're not wealthy. We make do. My mother decided to stay home to look after us. So I had never experienced the life of the kids that I work with, who lives in low cost housing, who went to schools that are not as good, right? So they didn't really have a lot of opportunity except for getting into the gang because the gang give them protections and seem to be something that they can benefit from. So I try to work with this group of young people, and I was quite young too, and I was like 20, 21, and without that lived experience, I found really frustrated. But one thing I discovered was that at that age they worship public image, especially musicians, like singers, pop stars, right? And I have been playing music and singing all my life, and like not professionally up to that point, but I won a lot of competitions and stuff, and I had a group. So then I realized that the way I could make an influence to influence them was to become a public image that they not worship, but they respect. So I can talk. My words will be more powerful than just as a social worker. So I think opportunity came up, and my group signed with EMI in Hong Kong at the time, and I had a Canto Pop electronic group. So that is a part of my past that I don't talk much about. Yeah. But once I got into the music business, I realized music business is not really about conveying message, especially when it is a business. So it's kind of like, for me, it was a disillusion because I couldn't really use that channel to make changes in people's life. So yeah, and then after that, I decided that I'm gonna go in with my own way to create that opportunity for myself as a musician to reach out to people. So I became a independent singer-songwriter, and I released 2 albums, 2 CDs when I was in Hong Kong just before I left to come to Canada. And I remember, so of course my targets, my audience mostly changed. So they're older kids, so they're working youth and adults, and so in the final 2 years I was in Hong Kong, I actually kind of like put one foot back into my social work area, because I was invited to do workshops with a peer support group of working youth who were searching for, I guess, the meaning of life, and just need somebody to kind of empower them. So I started to go back to my social work, and then I realized that maybe I can merge the two together. And so that was my journey so far in Hong Kong up to the point I left. But I would like to also bring it back to the question you asked about how was it growing up in a British colony. I think for me, I find that the advantage is that I have always grown up with a mixed culture. So it's not just British people and Chinese, but Hong Kong is a melting pot because it's quite so central in Asia, right? So there are a lot of people from different countries coming and going. So for me, I grew up, and it's just natural to see like different people of different cultural background, different skin color, to speaking different language, different accents. So it is normal for me. And I after I moved here, because I live up here, which is to this day still a pretty predominantly white community, I yearn for that diversity, and I'm seeing it happening now, and it makes me very happy.
Well, I can see how those influences have actually made decisions around how you make your life going forward, blending social work and music to impact the lives and get your message across to young people who are struggling. But you have also brought that into our community in terms of the many roles that you have played. But one of the things I wanted to go back to, and all the way back to, we call you May. Everyone calls you May, and we know you so well as May. But tell us about your full name.
Okay, so in Cantonese, my mother tongue, my name is Yip Kei Mei. So Yip is my last name, and Kei Mei is my given name. Yip means leaves on the tree. Kei Mei is how beautiful. So my name means how beautiful the leaves are. And my birthday is March 20th, so it's very fitting. So some people started calling me Kime here. So I know you have a guest previously, Gemma. Gemma was my boss at one point, and I had the good fortune of working with her. She's just such a driver in the community. So I remember that time when the whole organization was doing a build for the Habitats for Humanity up in the Shinaming, and in passing in a conversation, she found out that my real name is Ip Kime, so she started calling me Kime because she's saying we need to call people by their actual names, right? So and that's fine with me. But the funny thing is that even back in Hong Kong, all my friends call me May. So I'm more known not just in this community, but even growing up as May than Kime. Kime is a more like people are more closer to me. They will call me Kime, or if I get into trouble, my mother would say, "You Kime," right? So I do that with my kids too. I have 3 boys, and they all have Chinese name, and if I'm really upset with them, I always call them by their Chinese name, but when I'm really upset with them, I will yell the name. so that's that. But it's okay to call me Kime or May. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm happy with either. Yeah.
Well, I can see by the bright smile on your face that you just generally tend to be a very happy person. But when you immigrated into Canada, you had your music singer-songwriter behind you, and you were able to um, bring forth the music and start to integrate into the Canadian culture. We are a little chilly over here, and we maybe have a little more snow than what you had in Hong Kong. But one of the things that you're really known for in our community here is how you have brought the Chinese culture to the forefront. And you noted that we don't have a lot of diversity, a lot of different skin tones and different languages and religions in our community, but you are really promoting the Chinese culture. And how did you really start to knit into the community and bring that cultural awareness?
Yeah, so it all started when I had my first child. And when I had my first child, and we were living in Sabo Beach, and so my husband is Caucasian, so there were only two half Chinese families in Sabo at the time, because there was a restaurant there that was owned by a Chinese businessman, and one of his sons who took over the restaurant married a Caucasian woman. So that's one half Chinese family, and then we're the other half. And living up here, and also I think coming to Canada really made me want to hold on to my roots. I think a lot of people, like, if you've never had an experience of immigrating to another place, it's different when you travel, because you always come back to where you grew up, and things like that. But when you're an immigrant, you move from your home country to a new place. You're uprooting yourself, and in order for you to I guess to become part of the new home, the new country that you're going to call home, you can't come and leaving everything behind. I think there is that place where you need to have you have to hold on to your roots, and then you start to build new roots, right? Otherwise, in the vacuum, it's very hard. And for me, when I came here, I lost that. And then when I had my children, I felt it's important for them to know my roots, to know my heritage, because after all, they have Chinese, and they don't look Caucasian, right? So people are going to ask them. They need to. I think it's important for them to have their identity. So I started just going into their classes. Say on for Chinese New Year, we did show and tell when they were little. And then when they're older, I made presentation and would go to their classes. And then it just expanded from when I was in Sabo, it was just their classes, and then the whole school. And then when I came to Owen Sound, the first year was the classes in their school, and then the next year was like in the other school as well. And then before you know it started with that. And 2013, I asked, I approached the library. I asked Nadia. I said, hey, it was 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks before Chinese New Year. And I said to Nadia, I said, I have some ideas of some Lunar New Year's activities. I just need your youth group to help me, like, do the tables. I run the tables. Said, can we do that? So we put together like the first public Lunar New Year celebration event at the library in 2013, and then from there we just grow and grow and grow. Yeah.
Well, that was 10 years ago.
Yes.
And of course, the library is an anchor in our community for supporting all kinds of cultural events and activities. So that has led you, because I do know that not only have you started and founded these cultural groups, but you've also, in the jobs that you've had, have always been about inclusivity and diversity and promoting women's issues and that sort of thing. So to me, from my impression, is that all your journey has led you to what you do now.
Yes, yes, I think you described it perfectly, because I think without that previous experience in organizing things in the community, I wouldn't have landed on my first real job with the United Ways and Welcoming Communities when they were looking for a coordinator for the Making Great Bruce Home project. So the reason why I said that was my first real job was because when my kids were growing up, when I came here, I tried to find work, but the experience. So now I came with my parents. So I didn't apply for immigration as a social worker, but I know a couple of my friends from college, they came in the same year as I do, and they live in Toronto. But we all find that at that time in 1995, Canada opened up for, like, you get high score as a social worker if you have a social work background. But then when you come here, you were asked, do you have any Canadian experience? So things hasn't changed really. I think it was in the 50 up to now. It's still, when the government opened up the immigration criteria and say, we need this and this professions, I need these kind of skilled workers, and then when you come here, there is that disconnect, because the industry hasn't really set up, like, there's no bridge, right? So when you come here, like doctors, we have a shortage of doctors, but doctors have to take exam, and it takes a long time for people to train, and then you have to validate your testimonial, your qualification, and it takes 1 year, 2 years, maybe 3 years before somebody with a profession can actually get back to their field. And it's a long time for Canada to wait when we have a shortage of labor. And also for the family who come here, those who have money and can wait, that's okay. But for those who are not in that much of a secure situation, they ended up putting their hopes to the second generations. And that's why you see so many immigrants opening convenience stores. Maybe they are doctors, or they have professional degrees and stuff, because they want the children to have better life. But for them, that the hoops are too many to jump through in a short time. So I think through my commitment in the involvement in the community, I saw that, and my friend in my social network, I know other newcomers, and I saw that, and I find that when Making Great Bruce Home project was looking for a coordinator, I thought maybe I'm in a position of doing something, and just started to not really be people's voice, to collect the voice just so I can bring it to the table. Yeah.
Well, that was really important, because that just segues right into the question is, when did you find your voice, and did you know it was ever being heard? Yeah, the voice means different things. I mean, your voice and your singer as a singer, songwriter, your voice as a social worker, and now your voice in the community in the work with the newcomers. So are you mentioned that you are hearing the voices around the table, and that you take their voices further.
Yeah, that's correct. So I think so. Looking back, when I was young and decided that music is going to be the tool for me to reach out and to have a voice, I think it's not sustainable, and also it's not sustainable in the sense that I can engage people at the moment. Some of them may be inspired to start their own journey, but but I'm not able to support them after that, right? Because there's no structure. So when I do community work here, that started to take place, because I would go back to the schools and in the community, organizing year after year. So it's almost like snowballing, and people start to know about things that happen to foster Chinese culture, for example. And then I think when I really, and I guess up to that point, I'm really not somebody who like to stand on the soapbox and speak. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a supporter in the back, right? But so that first project really gave me the platform to develop my voice in a way that I didn't feel comfortable before. And that is all because I have very strong women to support for me at that time, Francesca and Colleen Purdon. And it was wonderful. I think it's wonderful learning journey that I had with them, to develop my I guess my strength, my confidence to be the person I am now.
Well, it sounds like you've learned a lot about yourself. We're just coming down to the last few minutes, so I just wanted to ask you very quickly, what message do you want to put forward to other women, to encourage them to follow their dreams and their goals?
I think, to put it very briefly, there's always a way. There's always a way, and there's always somebody around you who can walk with you.
Oh, yes. Well, I do have a quote here, and I think it really sums up the conversation that we've been having. And this is a quote from you. I'm sure you'll recognize it. I realize that every person has a mission, and mine was to bring happiness and harmony to the world. And you have done that so well, and we are so grateful to have you in our community and the work that you do in our community. But just before we sign off, I told you there might be a little pop question at the end. And so, May, what brings you joy?
To see that people are happy.
Well, we can see that certainly from the bright smiles on your face and the joy that you bring to our community. And do you ever have like a saying that helps you get through difficult times, that you like a bit of a mantra that you have kind of on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm. Yes. See every challenge as an opportunity. And if you give up, you never know. Like, looking back, you will regret that you never tried.
Oh, well, what a good message to leave you with. And thank you so much, May, for taking the time, particularly at this time of year when it's so busy for you. But the work that you have done in our community is absolutely invaluable. And I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to talk to us today and have this conversation. So please join us next time on Her Story for another amazing journey.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.